Hey guys, I'm Meteorologist Chris Tomer. Let's talk some mountain weather. And Storm 2 and Storm 3 are lined up. They're inbound. In fact, Storm number 2 is already pushing precip snow down through Wyoming, Utah, and into the central and northern mountains of Colorado. You're looking at Steamboat. So what we're seeing are just some ripples of energy come down the jet on this west-northwest flow into Steamboat. You've been the beneficiary of that with a few inches of new snow. Let me just show you what it looks like in Jackson Hole. You're reporting 11 inches of new snow there. You've got more on the way. And the same thing goes for Alta, snowing there, snowing across the Wasatch. Now, this is the second storm. And Storm 3 brings the biggest forecast numbers across the board. So what you're seeing now, an appetizer in Utah, an appetizer in Wyoming, an appetizer in northern Colorado, an appetizer in California. The biggest numbers in California Sierra come on the 7th and the 8th. And in this update, I updated some of my forecast numbers in the Sierra. So they're going to be different than what you've been seeing on my blog, which I actually published this morning. So hang on and I'll show you what I'm thinking as far as even updated numbers for the Sierra. Let me show you the setup. And it's this channel, this atmospheric river channel that's part of the key to this equation. And here it is. What it's doing right now is this moisture is being drawn in like a fire hose and slamming up against the Pacific Northwest, the Cascades, BC, parts of Banff. And what's happening out ahead of this thing, let me change, is this atmospheric river. Out ahead of it, it's throwing some moisture down on a west-northwest flow, and that's what we're seeing right now. That yellow area on the west-northwest flow is producing snow in Wyoming, Utah, central to northern mountains of Colorado. The main low, and let me mark the main low in red, is still way up here. The second low is back here. So this is storm number 2. There's storm number 3. Let me just, for clarification, the first storm that really changed the pattern is number 1. It's out here and it's moving away. So what's going to happen is this low is going to drop south. And as it does, it will bring the jet with it, help to line it up with the Sierra. We'll get good orographics down the Sierra. We'll get some additional snow in Utah, Wyoming, and in the central and northern mountains of Colorado. But I'm going to tell you again, the second low is not as big as this one, this third one. When it comes in, it'll follow a similar path, bring the heart of the jet stream with it, even better orographics, and just very weak atmospheric river contributions with it. So that's how this is going to play out. I talked about it on my blog this morning. Next 2 storm systems inbound. I gave you my bullet points. I talked about it. In my mind, one of the things that's still in question is the intensity of the atmospheric river when it comes in. It's going to be weaker than what we're seeing in the Pacific Northwest right now. It's going to be a lot weaker. But will there be little pieces left over? I think there might be little pieces. But I think what's going to win the day is going to be the orographics, the jet, the orientation, and the way this tracks through. And then I talked all about this, gave you some cams. There's Brighton. It was snowing in Brighton. Big wind in Colorado in the central to northern mountains. Long's Peak's blowing hard today with wind and snow showers. Backs off a little bit tomorrow. Quandary, pretty strong both days. Pretty strong on Beardstadt. I also went to the jet pattern. And I've got this loaded in high res, so I'm just going to show you what this looks like. All right, so the 7th and the 8th are going to be the big days. This is Monday for the Sierra. And look at the jet. Look at the jet right here. Look at the flow right up against the Sierra. Perfect. We like it. I like it. Nailing parts of Utah, Wyoming, and wait till that jet streak comes across. So that's good stuff. And that is the 7th. Here's the 8th. Here's day number 2. It's a big one for California and Mammoth on the 8th. Big day for the Wasatch, Bryan Head, and the Tetons. And that is on the 8th. And my friends, this is the 9th right here. Big translation with the jet on the 9th. The whole thing shifts into the interior, and snow will be flying in Colorado. I don't think it's going to be huge snow in Colorado, but it'll be healthy, probably 4 to 10 inches, which is what we've seen with the last 2 or 3 storms that have rolled through Colorado. And it'll be windy. You can count on it with a jet set up like that. And as this moves through on the 9th and the 10th, that'll mark the end of this storm cycle. across the west. Let me just show you timing. Talked about it on the blog. Let me go back, and we'll get into the timing aspect of this. So there it is. If you want to look at the forecast animation, I'll bring it up full here. All right, here we go. So by Sunday morning, it looks like that. On Monday morning, big day on the 7th and 8th for the Sierra and in the Utah, Wyoming. And then Colorado's day comes on the 9th. And there it is. On the 10th, it's drying up. So that's it. Storm 2 and Storm 3 will roll through, and then that'll mark the end of the storm cycle. I'll show this to you one more time. Sunday at 5, Monday at 5. Here comes the big stuff still. And there is the 9th, morning of the 10th, and night of the 10th, and that's it. So that is the way it progresses. I'm going to go into my storm totals map here. So all of today through the 6th. About 8-9 inches in the Tetons and in the Wasatch, and 2 to 5 in the central to northern mountains of Colorado. And all that is ripple. That's a ripple or 3 coming down the west-northwest flow. That's why we love it. And strong winds here in Colorado. Good numbers up in the Pacific Northwest with some blow off into the interior. All right, here's the big period. Here's the big one. And I updated my Sierra numbers on this one. So they're going to be different than what you're seeing here are updated numbers. And let's just talk about the Sierra. So even if, let's play this game. So even if the atmospheric river contribution is 0, I think the orographics will still be pretty good. Will still be strong. And I think we'll still be able to crank out a lot of snow. My numbers here assume perfect orographics and some weak contribution from the atmospheric river. So these are probably on the high end of the middle ground. They're not on the highest, not on the max, but they're somewhere above the middle ground. So you're looking at probably 36 to 40, Heavenly, Mammoth. My numbers at Heavenly on my blog update this morning were lower. They were at about 20. So I've effectively brought those up, leveled those up. My numbers in Utah are still big. So you take 8 inches in the first period in the Wasatch, add another 2 feet to that, you get an idea of what we're looking at. It's going to be big. It's going to be a big period. Powder skiing in the Wasatch will be great come, 8, 9, 10 in that period. In Colorado, 9, 10, 11, again, probably 4 to 10 inches will cover 99% of the ski areas. In Wyoming, you've got 8 in the forecast in the first period, another 16 to 17 in the second, so you're looking at a couple of feet, all in all. Another foot in the second period here in the Big Sky, Bridger Bowl, with 3 in the first period puts you, 15, 16 inches. In this period, 2 to probably 4 across Banff, Sunshine, Kicking Horse, and down into Schweitzer and Whitefish, as those numbers are small because the big energy is diving south of you. All right, so there you go. Really like what I'm seeing here with the Storm 2 and 3, especially with the orographics and the jet support. So keep an eye on it. If there's updates, I'll update it as needed. I don't, when I see new data and I like it and I agree with it, I change things. And that's what I did here. So take care. Always appreciate you tuning in. Till next time.